Thank you all so much for joining our June release day webinar. We are super excited that everyone is here. You'll have myself, Dee, and Andy. Again, today we'll talk you through a bunch of the things that we've released, what's in early access, what's upcoming, and then we'll spend a lot of time to take any questions that you might have. So please remember to use the Q&A module within the webinar here so that we can see your questions, and that will help us be able to answer them and go through them near the end. So to start up, we're going to talk about all the things that were released this month. And up first, I just wanted we've talked a little bit about our Entra ID sync. And so this has officially been released to everyone. You can set up your individual or your entire CSP Microsoft to have an hourly automated user sync to bring over into Syncro to keep your users from Microsoft and your users in Syncro to be in sync with each other. We updated our previous Entra ID sync where you can now filter by a number of different things. And as feedback from all of you that we heard in last month's release webinar and kind of throughout early access was we now have the ability to sync based on license type. So if you want to filter just by users that have a specific, at least one assigned license, you can actually only filter users that are brought over by license, which we're really excited about. So we have a ton of people that are using this so far. Would love to see everyone continue to turn this on. This is within the team plan, and it will keep all of your users up to date between Microsoft and the Syncro platform. Up next, directly alongside that, we have added the user actions that your technicians can take directly from within Syncro to modify properties within Microsoft. So what you can do is you can do direct password or MFA resets for any Microsoft user that's been synced over. So you can see here in our little GIF, you're able to go to the user, directly reset the password and reset MFA. And this should save your technicians time and be able to just jump right here instead of having to jump into Microsoft tenants.
All right. Well, I'm very excited to announce that the architecture for universal billing is now complete and has been released in full. Our first supported vendor is Proofpoint, and we're going to be bringing support for this to all of our marketplace vendors throughout the year. And with all the buzz going around about XMM and Microsoft 365 management within Syncro, this also means we'll be bringing your customers Microsoft 365 licensing under the universal billing umbrella as well. I'm going to run you all through a live demo of this because nothing ever goes wrong when we do live demos. So let's see how this goes. So it starts off just in our App Center. This is where you'll enable universal billing for any supported product. So within Proofpoint, I've already got this account set up. Normally, you'd either provision a new account for Proofpoint through Syncro, or you would migrate an existing account you have with a different reseller over to Syncro. This little box down here is how you're going to know when an app supports universal billing. You'll simply just turn it on, and then a bunch of things will start to happen in the background. So first thing is you will go into your admin settings under integrations, and you'll see a new customer mapping label here. And I've got all my customers from Proofpoint cleverly named here as customer 1 through 10 or whatever I've got. You can see that I've got them mapped to some Syncro customers, and mapping is pretty easy. You can just pick a customer to map it to. You'll see the status change. You can see the last time this was pulled, and you can manually pull this if you need to grab new customers you might have just added into that portal. Next up, you'll head over to our reports once you've got your customers mapped, and we've got a new third-party vendor usage report. This will eventually support everybody, and you'll be able to have all of the vendors within the same report. Today, it's just Proofpoint. We're going to do it by all customers, but you can also filter by a specific customer or even a saved customer search if you wanted to. And then what you're going to see is all of the licensing that is assigned to any specific customer, and then how many and what quantity they're using of each. And you can see this is all as of 1 minute ago. So let's take this Apex Beat customer. They're the ones with the most licenses currently. And I've got a recurring invoice template already set up for them. So you'll find a new line item type on your recurring invoices called third-party vendor. And right now we've got Proofpoint. Again, we're going to be adding more. And then this will be a dropdown of all the products that are available through Proofpoint today. And you'll see this one is in parentheses because this is actually how many licenses this specific customer is consuming today. So you don't have to go back to the report and then pull data, come over here and go back and forth. You can just easily find what they're consuming. We're going to go ahead and add this and map it to our Proofpoint product in Syncro. This is, of course, to move this over to your accounting package like QuickBooks or Xero or whatever you're using for accounting purposes. I've already got my pricing in here for the product. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to my template. So now you can see that I've got this here. They've got 7 units as of right in this moment. We're going to charge $8 a piece. So that's what they're going to get billed. If this increased or decreased the next month, this number would automatically change and they would get billed accordingly. So we've also added something else, which is unique to universal billing. And we are going to be adding this to our asset and contact counters, which is the notion of whether or not you want to bill for all of the units. If you don't, then it would look something like this. And this would say, hey, as part of this my managed services agreement with this specific customer, I'm going to include 5 licenses of Proofpoint Advanced Plus, and anything else above that, they're going to go ahead and get billed for. So now when I go ahead and add this, it's going to look a little bit different, and it will say, hey, this customer has a quantity of 7. We're only going to bill them for 2 because that's what you told us to do. And then we actually have another little toggle here where if the count is 5 or less in this instance, it's not even going to show up on their invoice. If it's over that, then you'll see what I just showed you. So what this will do is, if you want to show your customer that, hey, we're providing additional value beyond our time, we're giving you these licenses for free, this will still show this line item on their invoice, even if it's 5 or less, meaning it'll show them how many they're going to, they're consuming, but it's not going to show them a value. It'll just be a $0 value. So that's effectively how this works end to end. And again, we're bringing all of our existing marketplace vendors into it. Anything new that we're bringing between now and the end of the year, which is a few things that we'll be talking about here probably on the next webinar, and then as well as Microsoft licenses. So what I just showed everybody there for Proofpoint is available today. You head back over to our deck and move on to the next item. Okay. So next item is network discovery. And right on the heels of our network discovery release, which was, I think, last webinar, the webinar before, we've been working pretty hard on the next phase of updates here, as well as a fair amount of feedback that we've gotten from you. So the first bullet here is far and away the most important. Network discovery really has 2 use cases. The first is, I want to know everything that's on this network. It's great for onboarding a new client or finding devices at an existing customer that you haven't yet added into Syncro. But once you have a customer network identified and tracked, the next stage is monitoring for any unauthorized devices that show up on the network after that point, stuff that you didn't deploy yourself. So we've added alerting for exactly that purpose. Now you won't need to check the scan profiles for these types of networks at all going forward. You'll just be notified on what I would call exceptions. This shouldn't be here. I don't know about it. Alert me and let me know what's going on. This alerting is set per scan profile, so you can enable this as needed once you have any given network clearly defined and tracked within Syncro. On top of that, we've also added clear visibility into why the Syncro agent may not have been able to be installed remotely over the network. This can be due to any number of environmental issues, so we're going to help you identify the why of what's going on here. Then based on community feedback, we've added some very clear warnings for if and when a monitoring agent that is running your network scans is deleted. That way, if you don't inadvertently, offboard an asset that was previously required to run a particular scan profile and you just don't know about it going forward. And then lastly, we've also added some UI updates and quality of life improvements here as well, like the ability to stop a scan in the middle of its run. We've also added a column for vendor in the table of network devices, so you don't have to drill into any given device to find that going forward. And then we made some improvements to the auto naming conventions as well when a device isn't providing us to name like a device name on its own. We'll go ahead and use a different naming convention for that. Typically each month we've got a fresh round of updates to our mobile app, and this month's no different. Big functionality adds here this month were around end users within the app, and that includes the ability to add new end users through the mobile app, search through existing end users, and then associate and/or update tickets with end users as well. We also did a healthy round of bug fixes, including a few app crashes, and I know there was a thing with logon tokens expiring before their time that were affecting some users, so that's been resolved as well. So I'm going to pass it back to Dee to talk about some of this month's quality of life improvements around the platform.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andy. So wanted to cover with everyone that, in addition to a lot of the bigger features that you're hearing about from Kristen and from Andy today, we've also been focused on updating some of the smaller things. We've heard from all of you that, there are just a lot of little things around the edges. We get a bunch of things in through product feedback and product. We get things coming in through our support team. We've seen things on our community. And so we have a dedicated track of work to really starting to just, tick off some of the small and medium-sized things that aren't big, flashy features, but will just quality of life updates. And so I won't read the whole list to you. I'll let you look through it if you want to. A few of my favorites that are on this list. We updated the API to view and manage product SKUs, and there are more API updates on track for next month as well. We've definitely heard folks wanting more things in the API, and so we're on it. Allowing you to add subscribers to tickets via automation. Many folks have also asked about that. We've added some new columns into the end user page so you can easily see job title or look at related tags for those users. And we've also added the ability to search for your archived customer organizations. And so if you have archived customer organizations, you can now go in, there's a little page, you can go in and search for that. So there's a bunch more things on here. You can see them all here, and you can see them all as well on our release notes. And so speaking of release notes, I wanted to just call out our resource center. We moved that floating question mark from the bottom right-hand side of the screen because we did hear from many of you that it was annoying where it was, but I didn't want you to forget about this just because it's not stuck in the middle of your screen while you're trying to get your work done every day. So right up there in the top tray of the app is the small question mark. In there, we have our release updates, which we update actually the release updates. We update them weekly. We'll do a big update every single month and post everything. We have product feedback in there, links to chat with support, links to hop into the community. And I do want to call out the Doc Center link in there. It's being updated a lot. Very, very frequent updates to the Doc Center. Searching works really well inside the Doc Center, and we've been adding a lot of short form video as well into that center. So you can either read or you can watch a 1 or 2 minute video. Take a look in there if you need some help or want to look at how to use some of the newer features. All right. I want to move on and talk about early access. We have a handful of things in beta and early access that we want to cover today as well. So first up, we have some pretty nice improvements coming to how we handle ticket timers inside of Syncro. This redesign really addresses a lot of smaller items. We've reworked the whole section, easier to read. The controls are, I think, in places that make a lot more sense. The current time shows the total for the running timer only, not an aggregate of all the time on the ticket. And then, a really big one is you can now write your notes and continue writing your notes as your timer is running. On top of that, the notes control is now going to support new lines, and it will expand as you type, so you're not going to be kind of in a small field. So just, some real convenience things. At the bottom now, you'll also see running totals. So you can see actual time and billable time. So you can really just see that quickly at a glance when you look at the ticket. We're also redesigning the labor log. And so if you click, so on the labor log, much simpler to work with. It's a lot easier to see what's been charged, what hasn't been charged. The billable time toggle is cleaner, and just the overall look and feel. We've added totals for actual time and billable time. We've added pagination. So all those changes are right in here. And so, that's out in early access today. A lot of folks are using it. We've heard some really positive feedback on it. If you want early access, feel free to go sign up, and it'll be coming soon out to all of you. Next up, I did want to talk a bit about the Windows patching dashboard, and this is out in general beta, so this is available to everyone today if you want to take a look at it. It's a new tab inside the portal. And so here, and what we're doing is we're fine-tuning some of the performance and a few things around the edges before we declare this kind of generally available. I imagine that will happen within the coming weeks. It's not going to be that long until we feel like this is ready for general availability, but we're trying to be really just cognizant of wanting to get things to a place where we feel good about their performance before we pull them out of beta. And we are not moving away from, we're going to kind of stick with it, get it performant, declare it generally available, and then we'll move on. So here in the dashboard, you're able to see, what percentage of your fleet is fully patched, whether your devices are managed or unmanaged. You can see and filter that in the table. You can see the percentage of compliance. So if you've blocked a certain KB for a certain number of endpoints, it won't count against your compliance score. So you can see how you're doing compared to what you have applied for policies there in terms of compliance. You can see your coverage, so what percentage of your assets are managed by a policy inside of Syncro. In the middle here, you can see missing patches by status, so you can easily see if machines need reboot or any certain type of category. And then on the top right, and we found a lot of people are using this section of the page especially, is a breakdown of servers and workstations out of compliance by severity. And so we do see a lot of folks, which we assumed we would see a lot of folks checking servers, critical updates, servers, severe updates. And when you drill into any of those numbers, it actually updates the list at the bottom of the page. So if you click on, servers that are missing critical updates, the bottom table is going to show you just those servers right there. So it's an interactive page. And then down the bottom, you can filter by customer, you can drill down, you can sort, you can even export the table as well, if that's something you'd want to do. So that, like I said, is out in beta for all of you if you want to take a look. And with that, I am going to hand it back over to Kristen to talk about the ticket index page.
Yeah, so we have the ticket index page, which has been in beta for a while now. We have a number of people that are using it with a lot of positive feedback, but we know that there are still some performance pieces on it, especially some of the scrolling or loading that isn't working up to the par that we want them to be. And so our engineering team has a number of things in flight right now that are working on trying to continue to improve this. So you can turn this on off in your ticket settings to make sure that you test it out and see what it is. For a lot of the people that are using it, they're seeing a lot of really positive. We're hearing some good feedback, and we know that there are performance things. We're still working on it. So just wanted to quick touch on that it technically still is in beta, but is something that we're actively working on. Next, something that I'm really, really excited for is a new ticket view option that we have called Technician Ticket View. And this is something that's in early access today for the first time. So please feel free to join. We have the ability now for technicians to see their tickets and any tickets that they are subscribed to in one view. In the past, you had to have multiple views to see whether you were assigned to the tickets or they were subscribed to you. And so here you can see in this screenshot, you have all of my tickets that are at the top, the ones that I'm actually assigned to. And then you can see the grouping at the bottom of the tickets that I'm subscribed to and who they're assigned to. So there's a number that are unassigned, ones that are assigned to different techs. So I can kind of track how those tickets are working. You can set that all up by creating a new ticket view. And you'll see this box is kind of highlighted here with the assigned tech of current user and subscribed yes. So you can set that up for yourself. You can set it up for your technicians for this to be their default view so they can actually see all the tickets that impact them on their daily basis. We're really excited about this and think it's going to make a big difference. And then security baselines is in EA as well. We have a lot of people that are using the security baselines. This is the SIS framework baselines that help control your Microsoft tenant and keep your Microsoft tenants secure. We have a couple of enhancements that we're continuing to work on here, ironing out some details of working with Microsoft and continuing to improve kind of the reporting and notification on the baselines here. We've gotten a lot of great feedback, so please keep it coming, and we're really excited about all the continued work that you can do on the baseline. So again, you can attach it to a specific tenant. You can see your compliance at that tenant based on the SIS framework. And then you'll be able to monitor every single one of the 22 rules that we have based on SIS level 1 that assigns, and then it will audit your entire tenant to tell you what has passed and succeeded with the framework, or areas that you might be able to upsell and have conversations with your customers around areas of security that need to be improved within their tenant. So really excited about that one. Up next, I'm going to pass it, I think, right back to Dee to talk about our roadmap.
Absolutely. So we've already talked about a few of these. Kristen just talked about unified ticket view and baselines. And so I'll cover the things we haven't already talked about, and I'm going to hand it to Andy as well to cover some of this. So first up, the QL updates, calling out a couple here of things that I know we're working on this month, which is adding our ticket, contact, and customer tags into the API. There are a bunch more things coming as well this month. I just wanted to highlight a few here today. We are also working on some updates to make the workflow around end users a little smoother. And so basically making it super easy to associate assets with end users, which we do today. If you're linking up with Entra ID and you have an asset associated with that user in Entra, we automatically associate that asset for you. But this is also going to make it easier for you to manually associate assets, and then also be able to really quickly link out to assets and to users right from tickets, so that you're not clicking around and having to kind of have a bunch of different things open. We're just trying to streamline all those clicks for you. We are also adding support to SNMP v3 to both our network monitoring capability, and we're also adding it as an option on the network discovery as well. So you'll be able to discover using SNMP v3 and monitor devices using SNMP v3. And then the last project on the list, and this one kind of jumped directly into in progress, which is the support for multiple outbound email domains. And so what we're going to allow you to do today, you can obviously send multiple outbound emails from multiple mailboxes. This will take it a step further and allow you to send emails from different domains. And so especially if you're in a situation where you're co-managing and you want to have different domains, we'll be able to support that as well coming soon. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Andy, who I think is going to take us through asset warranty tracking.
Yeah, thanks, Dee. So the new asset warranty tracking functionality we've been working on is coming along quite nicely. This is where we're going to automatically be tracking warranty status for the 5 vendors you see on the left, and we'll pull that anytime a supported endpoint is added into Syncro. We're also going to support adding in your own custom dates for when you've got like an extended warranty that you've just applied through a third-party vendor, or if you want to track your own warranties for vendors that we don't currently support through this program. And of course, this will be baked into our reporting, baked into our APIs, and you'll be able to throw RMM alerts when an asset has a warranty coming due in a customizable number of days. And because this will be in the form of an RMM alert and not a base level notification, you can take whatever number of customizable actions you all like here using our automated remediation system. Now, I've been getting like a shitload of very enthusiastic emails from our users looking to be put into early access. So here's the deal with that. I don't expect the EA period here to be very long at all. There's not a lot of moving parts on this one, so it should just work as everybody expects. That said, if you are on the team plan and you do want to get into early access, that's going to be starting fairly shortly here. Just email me for this one directly at andy@syncromsp.com. and I'll get you. And I'm not putting limits on this one. So if you ask, and you're on the team plan, you shall receive. I'm actually anticipating being able to showcase this as a fully released feature at next month's webinar. For those of you wondering about general timelines, I just do want to stress there's not a bullet on here that says Andy promises it'll be in your hands next month. So just keep that in mind. But as far as engineering is concerned, everything is moving along nicely. So that's the plan as of today. So I'm going to pass it back over to Dee to talk about what's next on the roadmap.
Will do. I appreciate the Andy isn't promising it's here next month, but perfect. No, it's pretty exciting and agreed. It's coming along great. All right. So on the up next view of the roadmap, quality of life updates, this will be a standing item every single month. We'll have a page full of updates for you on kind of all the things we're doing that are probably like below the level, like I said, of big feature, but still really meaningful and will hopefully help just improve your everyday experience. We'll be looking at enhancing Entra ID to make it much easier to invoice for those microsite licensed users. We're also looking at expanding our baseline support coming up next so that we can expand beyond our initial set of rules and to understand, how to remediate for those. We are also getting ready to start working on archive assets. And so this is the ability to archive your assets so that that historical information is still available. We are just kind of finalizing our designs for that project, and that should be shifting into in progress, hopefully coming up soon. And then as well as the Linux agent, once again, we are finalizing our technical designs for what we're planning to do with the Linux agent, and we will be moving that into in progress coming soon. So tune in next month for, I think, what will be a month of some pretty meaningful roadmap updates, because I see a lot of things that are heading out the door, and that means everyone gets to move up the line. And so more to come in next month's webinar on that for sure. With that, Andy, if you want to talk a little bit about community, that would be great.
Yeah, so last thing we're going to talk about today in our prepared stuff is about a new community forum. So first off, the new community has been hitting record numbers week over week. So we're really excited to see the participation and the engagement that we've got going on there. Furthermore, this new forum will allow for a lot more of us to interact with you all as a matter of regular practice. So for any of you that are just bored as hell with hanging out with me all the time, Kristen's now in there, Dee's now in there, Jess, our community manager's in there, we've got our sales engineers in there. So you should expect nothing short of continued engagement from all of us there going forward. And yes, for anybody that wants to, you can still directly message me to your heart's content on that platform if you so choose. With that said, during these webinars, we always wind up getting way more questions than we can reasonably answer within an hour. So what we're going to do is, and we've done it today, and I believe somebody will be dropping the link to that in the chat. We've spun up a thread, and we're going to do this after each webinar on our community forum, where you can continue the discussion there and ask further questions about anything we went over during that month's release webinar that we weren't able to cover or get your question answered. Forums are super easy to access. Dean went over this already. There's just the question mark to open the resource center. You're just going to hit Syncro Community, uses SSO based on your Syncro credentials, so you don't even have to physically log into it. Very easy to access and use. We're also going to be giving away 4 Syncro mugs this month. Now, for new Syncro customers, you might be like, what the hell? Like, what's the deal with the mugs? But for those of you that have been here for a long time and remember like our old community-driven development track I used to run with you all in the community, the winners of those would get like a personal call out from us, and they would get like a branded Syncro mug. And no one gave a shit about the call out from us. It was just like, oh, we want the Syncro mug, and it became like this coveted thing. It's kind of like a running inside joke with some of our longtime customers. It was just like the strangest phenomenon. At any rate, winners will be receiving a mug with our new branding. And for what it's worth, I don't even have one of these yet. So I introduced myself in hopes that I can win one too. So to win, we've spun up a post there for folks to introduce themselves. It's been quite active already. All you need to do to enter is just simply introduce yourself. That's it. We'll be announcing the winners later this month. And then going forward, stay tuned. We'll be doing all sorts of little things like this in the community, and we'll be calling them out on these webinars as well. So again, that's all the prepared content we have for today. So we're going to move into Q&A, and I haven't been checking it, Dee and Kristen. So if y'all got anything queued up, feel free to go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I have a couple. I have a couple queued up. So a number on the Microsoft side. So thank you everyone for asking a bunch. One was, are we able to add our own tenant? And this is something that is in progress that we are working on. I know initial release was that you could only manage kind of your end clients and you couldn't manage, especially if it was your CSP, if you were a CSP. So this is something that we are working on, and you should be able to manage your own tenant shortly in the future, which we're excited. Personally, I'm very excited about that feature to be added to for us initially. And then there was a question around minimum specific licenses or connecting multiple Syncro tenants to the same Microsoft tenant. So there's a couple of pieces that I'm going to talk through here. One is yes, you can connect multiple Syncro organizations to the same Microsoft tenant. So if you wanted to connect your Microsoft tenant, you could then split the users using your Entra ID sync. You could split them to multiple organizations and you can split. So you bring all of the users in and you separate them by location or other things. Alex, this is a question from Alex. Alex, if you meant that the other way around, like you want to have multiple Microsoft tenants, reach out again in the Q&A to make sure that I answered that properly. But you can connect when you link your tenant, you can then connect it to any number of organizations in Syncro as long as you have the way that you're splitting up those users and you want those things to be managed. The security baselines are on the tenant side, so that doesn't flow down to the organizational level. So we can go from there. And then Dee, did you want to answer the minimum license needed?
Yeah, sure. So, in a couple things, just first touching back on that last question that Kristen answered, one of the ways we've started to think about this is that, the Syncro tenant, that maps directly to the Microsoft tenant can have multiple Syncro customer organizations kind of under it or associated with it. And this for us is one of the first steps that we've taken as we start to try to build out this level of hierarchy in the product, because we've heard from all of you that sometimes you're creating, multiple customer organizations for one actual client you have for any number of reasons. And so you'll see us as we build out more features, trying to build that into more of the platform as we go. And so one question we did get was on licenses. Is there a minimum license required to use the 365, the sync that we have? And there is nothing right now from a minimum license required. There are definitely some configuration requirements and all of that are really well documented for what you need to do, but there isn't a minimum license requirement. We might at some point in time add features that are specific to different licenses. For example, if we wanted to go down the path of adding some things around conditional access or other parts of those would obviously require a specific license from Microsoft, but the core capability should work across the different 365 licenses that you have. I had one other question I can take right now, which was, and it came up in and around the Microsoft conversation, but it was, is there a way to kind of delete old users? And I couldn't tell if that was related to the Microsoft or separately. And so I'll answer it in both capacities, I think. So if today you are disabling your users on the Entra side and you have the sync set up, those users will show as disabled on the Syncro side. And then if you want to delete them from Syncro, those users or any users, essentially right from that list of users, you can just multiple select, however many you want to delete and just remove them from the Syncro system if you'd like to do that.
I'm going to grab a couple questions about universal billing things. Rob's asking for Proofpoint. Can I connect this to my current Proofpoint account and not move it to Syncro? No. However, you might want to think about moving it to us for a couple of reasons. One is that it's probably going to be cheaper. Two is that there are no minimums with Syncro. And three is that all support is provided directly by Proofpoint. So there's no reason to go through Syncro support first or some other variant of tier 1 support. So there's a lot of advantages to doing that. And now that those advantages also include universal billing. So if that's something you want to talk about, Rob, just email me directly and I can get you moving with that. It's Andy@syncromsp.com. Doug's asking for the universal billing. Does this feature allow us to bill customers through recurring invoices? This doesn't change how we're directly billed by third-party vendors, correct? That's correct, Doug. So basically, we're just pulling counts mapping them to your customers and allowing you to bill out whatever you want. If you have this completely included in like your managed services contract, for example, with customer A, you don't have to set up anything for customer A. While if you want to bill customer B for every single license, you can do that. So it's completely customizable based on how you've got your contracts configured. Robert's asking, is there a planned integration for universal billing for Webroot or any of the other cybersecurity products you currently have integrations with? Yes, all of them. So if it's something that Syncro resells, by the end of the year, we are trying to have everything supported. That also includes newly added things like we just added Auto Elevate by CyberFox recently. We plan to add it to that. There's another thing I'm going to be talking about next month that we just signed on. We're going to be adding it to that. So yeah, if it's something you can get from Syncro, it'll be something that's supported in this model on top of the Microsoft 365 licensing as well. Dylan's asking, can we do the same? He's talking about the bill above a certain quantity checkbox for Syncro assets. You know, it's really funny. So when we had this feature in early access, that was like the only feedback that we got. It actually wasn't about this feature. It was that everything works great. We love this particular feature so much. Can you move it over to the asset and contact counter? So we talked about that internally, and yes, we are going to do that. So you'll definitely see that. Tony's asking about any ideas when we might see Acronis show up in unified billing. I would probably say toward the end of Q3 or early Q4 based on where things are slotted. There's an API thing we're working on with them just to get something that we need there, and then that work will start. So coming this year, I just don't have a solid ETA for you on that. Do you want to move to there's a couple network discovery ones I see there.
Yeah, I can pick up a couple. Sorry, I'm lost scrolling to the Q&A module. It's lengthy and overwhelming. I'll take this one for right now, which is the new patching dashboard is nice, but can we push patches from it? This has been a pain point for a long time, this says. And so yes, we do support the ability to either install the patches per device, or you can install in bulk directly from the patching dashboard. It also supports a reboot action for devices that are pending reboot. So you can just select a device or devices right from that dashboard and perform any of those actions. And we can maybe post some docs in the chat or send out some links for if anyone wants instructions and details on how to do that.
There's a question on network discovery around NetCrunch network tools and like some of the OID values, device name, etc. This is like, since OID is so difficult to find, is this something that we could add in the future? This is something that's on our list of things to continue so Andy went through a couple of the pieces, and we're just going to continue to do some network discovery updates as continuing adding things. So this is great. I'm going to make sure that the product team has this, and we'll make sure that this is on our list. I know the product group messaged already saying it is, and so we'll look to make that pretty easy. And then the second one on network discovery, Lloyd has a question. If we scan from one VLAN to another and our firewall has an allow rule from source to destination, will this work? The answer is, I think, yes, it should work. If you attempt it, you know, the worst case, you might end up having to have two profiles, depending on how your VLAN, like depending on how your network is set up. But this should work based on your firewall rule, as long as you can tell it which across the whole network to scan. So Lloyd, if you test it out, reach out. We also might reach out afterwards just to confirm. We're doing some testing in the back end right now to make sure that it should work. But we think the answer is yes.
I'm going to fire off a couple random ones here. Tom's asking, I think he's talking about the network discovery piece when I was saying you're going to get alerted if there's an agent that was removed that's no longer going to be reporting to the dashboard, and they're going to get notified. Kristen or Dee, do you guys have more details on that? Or I think he's asking, like, how is that physically functioning? I know there's some UI elements we added, but if you like physically delete an agent that is currently tapped as like a scanned profile underneath it, like what's happening physically there?
Yeah, if you delete it, you do get notified. So if you end up removing the agent that was a network discovery, it was your profile node, you will get notified to say, hey, that this has failed, and then you'll still see the profile, in the list, but it will show that it's not running because there's no node for it to run on.
Richard's asking, will we be adding other cybersecurity vendors like Coro? I will say, yes, we will be adding other cybersecurity vendors, but I can't say who specifically right now, but yes, we will be.
A couple of pricing questions coming in that are, so one is, do you have to pay extra for network discovery? And network discovery is part of the team plan. There's another question on similar for asset warranty tracking. Asset warranty tracking also part of team plan, but there will be an option to purchase, as Andy mentioned, to purchase the asset warranty tracking as well separately if you want it on core. And then there's a follow-on question farther down here. Does the new team plan or does the team plan include everything, or are there additional per device fees that come on top of that? And the team plan does not have any additional fees. It is all included in that the license price of team plan. There aren't separate per device fees or anything embedded in there.
There's a question around, are there plans to improve the integration for M365 to include available license for the tenant or change a user's license type directly through Syncro? This is on our list. You'll continue to see us doing work on the Microsoft side, and these are some of the things that we'll continue to add to the list. So it's not on the very short list, but it is on the list of things that we want to do. Also, there was a question around, can you change the complexity of the password on the Microsoft password reset, and can you make it permanent? We're using Microsoft's password reset function, and so I don't think that you can make it permanent, because when you reset a user's password through Microsoft, I believe it has to be temporary, and they have to then reset the password when they log in. I'll have some people check me on that side, but that is the case for there, and why it's set up that way. And then Jonathan has a question around, when an end user is exited from M365, do we archive that user or delete that user through our sync? So after speaking with a lot of customers, what we ended up doing is that we have a field on the end users that is called disabled in Microsoft. And so that does come through. You can display that field. You can filter by that field so that it's not there. But a lot of people wanted that for historical purposes. Archiving contacts and continuing to update archiving end users is something that's on our list of things that we want to get to and continue to expand upon that. But for today, it does come through. You can still filter that. So if you have things set up in certain, so that your techs know, and if you wanted for filtering, you can do that as well.
Abner's asking, he just wrote password manager, so I assume that means you're looking for a password manager in Syncro. So yes, there is something interesting we'll be announcing in Q3 around password management. Doug is asking, is asset warranty tracking a Teams plan only option? Yes and no. Yes, and that it's included for free in the team plan. No, and that it is going to be an a la carte feature in the core plan. I believe the price is going to be $49 per account, not per user. So $49 would enable it on the core plan and allow all of your users to access it for that one. Philip is asking, and I don't see any product people. I just asked him about this, but he's asking about the ability to customize subject lines out of outbound emails, things like invoice reminders and alerts and things. Do you know if that's currently on something that anyone's working on?
Do not know, but I know I've heard it, and so we'll see if folks get back to us behind the scenes. And while we wait for a potential update on that, I can grab a couple other ones. One that came up is in the patching module. It's nice that we have the reboot option, but is there a possibility of having a scheduled reboot option there? It's a great suggestion. It's something I think that's on our radar to look into as well. And then I've had a few questions in here. Are you planning to integrate with Microsoft directly and reselling their licenses? And it's not something that we have on our roadmap right now, but enough people asked me about it that I'd love to hear more on why that would make your lives easier, since it came in from several different folks, even just on this one call. And then another Microsoft question around when I'm doing the mapping with Microsoft and Syncro, I'm just seeing each tenant as a separate option. And so there are two ways you can integrate with Microsoft today. One would be you doing your CSP integration, and then one is doing tenant by tenant. There's documentation on those. And then if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out, or you could ask in community, if you need a little how-to help, or reach out to support if you're just not seeing what you think should be there.
Gary, oh, and by the way, answer to that question about the subjects is that it's something that we're seeing frequently asked. It's not currently planned as of today. Gary's asking, is there a way to turn off drivers and patching? I don't trust MS drivers. There is. So in the policies, when you're setting up that, what you want to patch and what you don't, you can basically disable the installation of MS drivers. And also on that patching dashboard, when we're like, hey, this is in compliance or out of compliance, we're going to take all of that into account. So whatever you have where you're physically saying, I don't want this to be installed, it's not going to count against you when we're reporting compliance on the dashboard. There was one other question. Does HP warranty management include HPE? It's the enterprise products. It does not, Leonard. Reason being is because that's actually a separate company with an entirely separate API. So it's possible that might get added in the future, but it is not going to be there out of the.
All right, there's a question around, hey, I love seeing the new features, but what are we doing to prevent outages and downtime to the background workers, which I think is a fantastic question slash statement. We have been doing a lot of work on our backend infrastructure in scaling. It's amazing to see all of the growth and everything that we have had at Syncro over the time. And with that, we have to continue to scale our infrastructure. So similar to what we're doing on the Linux agent side with taking a bunch of features and continuing to move, our RMM is an area that we are dedicating a lot of engineering time to improve processing, to improve the asynchronous nature of it, and to just update our overall infrastructure there. There's a lot of things that existed years ago that we are updating and modernizing and scaling as we continue to grow. So this is the thing that keeps me awake and the thing that I focus on almost all day with my team, and making sure that as we're doing new features that we're taking scalability, we're taking performance into account. And so I know it's been painful as these things happen. This morning's, there was a huge patch Tuesday yesterday that happened from Microsoft. And it turns out the way that we have been processing patches, we hit a limit there. And so the team has been working to really scale that out and have made big strides today to ensure that this doesn't happen kind of in the future. But we're trying to catch a lot of those things before they happen. Unfortunately, some of the things happen and then we're catching up and kind of doing a lot of work there. So we're focusing on it. It's a big area of us. It's the engineering team's major focus as we're delivering features is to continue to do that as well.
Someone's asking, will we eventually be able to create custom connections to vendors not in the marketplace with universal billing? Once we've got everything sorted that we resell through universal billing, we are looking at a way to bring in like an imported CSV once a month, where it would basically, it's just changing how we ingest the data, but everything to the right of that with the customer mapping and all that kind of stuff, and the products and whatnot, and the auto billing, that will be there. So it is something that we're going to work on right behind getting everything else supported. So yeah, you'll be able to do some of that within universal billing. Kevin's asking, do you have to enable asset warranty tracking, or is this something that's enabled by policy? If you're on the team plan, you don't have to enable anything. It's just going to start showing up as a separate section on your asset records, and then in your reports and things like that, you'll be able to start grabbing that data. There will be new notifications that you can customize, which will that'll be in the admin settings, which will say, notify me 90 days out, 30 days out, whatever it's going to be to throw those RMM alerts. But other than the customization part, you don't have to do anything to physically turn it on.
A few other questions. One here is someone asking for an ETA on like when an alert closes, can the associated ticket close as well? I think we had a couple of comments on that one. That is on our quality of life list of things that we're looking to do. I don't have a time frame on it, but we definitely hear you on that one. Also a question on whether we have an integration with Hoodoo to sync information. And yes, there is an integration that syncs organizations, end users, and assets. Our App Center has a Hoodoo card with information from Hoodoo on and documentation about the integration you can check out there.
There is a question around giving a client full access to their tenant. So the ability to run any script from the library, sharing screens, use backgrounding tools, etc. This is something that's on our list of improving our single customer and multi-customer permissions. So the co-managed type environment. So Randy, this is something that is something we're actively investigating and kind of paying attention to. We know as you continue to grow, you like to give people access. There's some challenges in here that we're working through. So for instance, if you have a script assigned to multiple policies across different customers, and someone edits, your client edits that script for one customer, how do we handle that across the different ways? So there's a couple of pieces that we're kind of working through and chatting with people about. So, but it is on our list.
Kristen, there's one I wanted to ask for you to answer. Jonathan's saying we're an internal IT department. What's the correct way to integrate M365 with a single M365 tenant with all of our employees there?
Yeah, so what you can do is if you you can either use your global admin or you can follow our documentation and use your single tenant. The single tenant integration, as long as you are logged into that M365 account that has the right permissions, it will prompt you directly on that, integrate with Microsoft page. It will prompt you for the enterprise application. You should give it access and then it should auto sync there. And so I would just use the single tenant if that's what you are for an internal IT. And then if depending on how you're mapping your users, set up your Entra ID sync to map them to the right customers and everything here within Syncro.
Great. I'll take a couple. One person was saying, will Syncro be integrating AI into the platform to help with efficiency? This is someone that's considering joining Syncro and that's asking about this. And so the answer is absolutely yes. We have some investigations and designs underway to incorporate more AI into the platform, especially around technician efficiency. And this is one I'd love to chat with you if you've had an experience on another platform where you feel like they've really, implemented something in a way that you find particularly useful for your team. Happy to have a conversation about it and learn more. And then another question that's come up, I'm going to say 4 times in the current Q&A is, what about an alternate payment processor? And so I did mention, you'll see some big roadmap updates coming next month. And the thing that will be hitting the roadmap next month, and I'll give you all my sneak preview since you were kind enough to take time out of your day to show up here today and chat with us. So we are going to be adding a new payment option to the roadmap, and we're in kind of design and final decision over the next week or two. And so by next month, we'll have a plan in place, we'll have something in the roadmap, and we'll have a team assigned to do the work. And so yes, it's coming soon to
That's some exciting stuff
near you.
All right. Well, the only other question I saw that I want to answer, and then I think we're gonna call it. There's definitely way more than we're gonna be able to answer here. So, like we were saying, please head over to our community forums and start asking any of your questions that we weren't able to get to today, and we'll answer them over there. A couple folks are asking, is this recorded? Yes, we record every one. We actually will post them as soon as they're available in our community forum as well, so everybody has access to those. And if you signed up for to participate in this every month, you'll also get an email with the recording as well once that's available. So thanks everybody for joining. Can't wait to see y'all next month. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.